tuzagusura hehe dorura kowe inka munane ziri n'indende yateze iryama akabarazi yateze iryama inyamibwa yateze iryama izimisengo yateze iryama iteze ityaye yateze ityaye imutoraye yateze iryama umva abashomba bazivuye amazina ye. Inyubero y'igikaka ruhare rwashema imfura zishengerera ikizigenza yanze guturana n'abatindi barwaza bwakingwa zabagabira iko yabahaye garubundu byabateye kuririmba simugomwa ya nkerabigwi yereka munyarwanda komeza ibirindi mfura nawe wagabanye wakugabiye ntukamukamire
Peace and love, family. Welcome to the Black Code Far 54 Correspondence Show on Black Code Far Network, and I'm your host for the show, Spikes. I hope everyone is having a wonderful morning. Once again, peace and love to the Black Code Far Network. I hope everyone is having a wonderful morning. I hope the 7th of May finds you in a good place. I hope the 7th May finds you in a good place. Thank you for joining us on the 54 Correspondence Show. I'm your host for the show, Spikes. And remember, you can get interactive on our different social media platforms, not only on YouTube. You can also get interactive on Facebook as well. That is Black Code Fire Network, our radio station. You can also find us on Twitter, which is twitter.com/Black Code Fire. And also, we are available on Instagram at Black Code Fire Network. Remember to keep it live and interactive on various platforms because on the 54 Correspondence Show, we talk about African matters and, of course, adding value to the conversation around African issues or issues affecting us as a continent. And I'm your host for the show, like I mentioned earlier, and this is the 54 Correspondence Show. Today, I want us to talk about a few issues. We'll be starting from South Africa. South Africa will be holding its presidential and parliamentary elections tomorrow, which is the 8th of May 2019. And of course, you've seen there was a very heated campaign period because different parties were out there trying to put out their names to the electorate. But of course, the African National Congress Party, which was Mandela's party, of course, has a lot of popularity in South Africa. And we also have the Democratic Alliance Party, and we also have the Economic Freedom Fighters Party, which is led by Julius Malema. And we also have the IFP, the Inkatha Freedom Party. All these parties, of course, have presented themselves and they have presented their manifestos in different campaigns that have been held in different places across the continent. Thank you, Sister Nish, for joining me on the show. Karibu sana, asante sana. Thank you for joining us. Our other channel, of course, was striked. They striked our other channel, saying that, of course, the community guidelines have not been followed and all these other nitty-gritty. Thank you, Elias Mani, for joining us also. Asante sana, ndugu Elias Mani. Asante sana. Thank you for joining us. I'm very excited because I think Keith hired a Ugandan lady. Her name is Sister Africa Mapenzi. Africa Maria Mapenzi. She was with us yesterday on Kami's live. She will be telling us a few. She'll be covering. She'll be doing the correspondence from Uganda, and that is a very, very good thing because the more you have people on different places of the continent, the more you're able to get whatever is happening on the ground. We're also looking forward to have some people getting correspondence from Rwanda, from Ethiopia, Rwanda, Ethiopia, and other different places on the continent, and that will be a very, very good. That will be a very, very good look. That lady, Elias Money, that lady called Africa Maria Mpenzi, that lady will bring the black hot fire. She has a black hot fire. I'm not normally the guy who talks a lot, and I'm not normally the guy who could be said to be what can I call? Anyway, just know that lady has a black hot fire. Just know that lady has the black hot fire in her. Elias Money, when you go to Uganda, you told us that you might be touring Uganda at the end of July or in August. Probably you might get to meet that lady. That lady in Uganda, her name is Africa Maria Mpenzi. And earlier on, we were speaking with her. She told me that there have been some new pests, some new insects that have gotten their way to Uganda. Some new insects that have gotten they're not really house flies. There's some new. I heard she's beautiful. Niche, of course, our beauty is relative. I agree. Of course, Ugandan women are very, very beautiful, and also, but of course, any day I'll just pick our Rwandese women and our Kenyan ladies any day when it comes to African ladies. Keith might have told that she was a beauty, that she was I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I wish I might be sharing with you some. We might upload some photos of her on the website once we update our website. We might actually do that. She was actually telling me earlier on that there are some new there's some new flies. I wish I could share the photo of those flies. She has not seen them before in Uganda, and now it happens that they are now in Uganda. Of course, you suspect these what do you call these? These genetically modified flies and bioweaponry from the European and the cave beast. Because she says, I'm going to be like the lion preying on beautiful potential vibes. I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best, Mr. Elias Money. I also hope to go back to Rwanda again. Go back to Rwanda again in November. We shall be updating you on all those things in Uganda and Rwanda. In Nairobi, it's now 20 minutes past 5 in 20 minutes past 5 in Nairobi, Kenya. The thing I like is that there's no time difference. There's no time difference between Uganda and Kenya. There's no time difference between Uganda and Kenya. If it's 5:20 in Kenya, it's also 5:20 in Kampala, Uganda. That is the same. But what you have is a time difference. When you go to Kigali, there's a time difference. There's a time difference between Kigali. There's a time difference between Kigali and Nairobi. There's 1 hour. There's 1 hour time difference between Kigali and Nairobi. So that you find it's 4:20. It's 4:20. It's 4:20 in Kigali. But of course, it's 5:20 like it is here in Nairobi, just the same way in Kampala. There's no time difference. There's no time difference between Nairobi and Kampala. It has started raining in Nairobi. I don't know if you can hear the rainfall outside. It has started raining. Some of the time, a kid was actually joking a bit earlier today, saying that this lady in Kampala has better Wi-Fi reception than Nairobi has. I don't know, but these rains, of course, sometimes they interrupt with the power here, and of course, when the power is interrupted, there's the interruption with our power connectivity. Elias Money says all black women are beautiful, and there's a lot of potential. I agree with you. I don't know if I have to shout a bit more so that you can hear me. There might be a bit of interruption outside. I don't know, because of the rain. But I just want to welcome you once again, Sister Nish and Brother Elias Money. I want to welcome you once again to the 54 Correspondence Show. This is the new channel. It's not really new. We have been using this channel. Unfortunately, the login details of the other channel, I couldn't find the login details of the other channel. I tried to talk to Kid, but I couldn't find him. I think he's out of I think it's a place we can hear you in the rain. This is Africa. I also know that in Kigali it's raining. I don't know about Uganda. We might actually give access to the young lady from Uganda to actually use this particular platform. Keith might get her a day to use this particular same platform to bring us some coverage from Uganda. But of course, it takes a bit of time to set all that. It takes a bit of time to set all that. I wish she could join us today on the live, but of course, the other channel was straight. Kenya needs our Wi-Fi. Kenya doesn't need anything. Doesn't need the Wi-Fi. What has been happening is that we have been facing a lot of corruption in Kenya. I hope that will get sorted. Actually, let me just update you on the state of things in Kenya. There was this particular activist. His name is Boniface Mwangi. Is it Boniface Mwangi? Boniface Maina? Yes, Boniface Mwangi. He's an activist, and he had actually set a day on May 9th, which is on Thursday. He had actually set a day on May 9th for people to come out on the streets and protest. But of course, you know what happened to him. The authority arrested him. He was arrested. And now that particular momentum that he had to come out and lead the people in the street to protest the massive corruption in Kenya, the momentum, of course, has been watered down. The momentum, of course, has been watered down. It's very, very unfortunate, but we really need a revolution in Kenya to protest this kind of corruption that is happening. But today we'll not be talking about that. Today I just want to be talking about a bit of Southern Africa, because I want to talk about South Africa because of the elections, and I will also be talking about Namibia. And so we had heated campaign period, in South Africa. Bobby Wine is EFF in Uganda. The EFF in South Africa is led by Julius Malema. The EFF in South Africa is led by Julius Malema. I wish I could play you the last video clip. Let me play it to you. You'll tell me if you can hear it. Let me just play you this particular video clip by Julius Malema, so that you can feel the heat and the energy. Unfortunately, my thinking is that Julius Malema's party, of course, it comes third. It doesn't come first. The first party in terms of popularity is the African National Congress, which is the party of the incumbent president. The incumbent president is Mr. Ramaphosa, Cyril Ramaphosa. What is unfortunate is that the people of South Africa, the party that is most popular in South Africa is the ANC, followed by the Democratic Alliance Party. The Democratic Alliance Party right now, they have a relatively younger candidate. But I'll not talk much about the Democratic Alliance Party, because the Democratic Alliance Party is said to have the backing of the white people, a lot of backing of the white people, the political elites, and the people who have the money, and these are the white people in South Africa, of course, tend to back this particular Democratic Alliance Party. That is why I'll not waste much of my time talking about the Democratic Alliance Party. Of course, the candidate is a black young man, but the backing behind this particular party is the white people. So I just want to talk about Julius Malema's party, and I'll try to play you a small clip by Julius Malema, so that you can, of course, hear what he had to say on his campaigns.
Ready to take government. We can take it anytime. We're not scared of anything. To run government is the simplest thing, because you employ people with qualification and you pay them. Your children are nothing without the land. Your children are going to be like you if you don't return the land. But the problem is one, here in South Africa. You love EFF when you are in trouble. When you are not in trouble, you don't love the EFF. When the farmers beat you up, you start asking for the address of the EFF. When your bosses don't pay you, you ask for EFF address. When the councillors steal from you, you ask for the EFF. When there is no service delivery in the hospitals, you ask for the EFF. But when the time comes for you to vote, I samba ne Congolos. We cancel out Mandela. Yes, Pumakute no Madiba. There is no Madiba yet. Huh? You will not go to Madiba's grave when the poor give you trouble. You come to the EFF. So you must start doing the right thing and vote for the EFF so that we can resolve your problems. We are resolving your problems now.
And secondly, the last
I want
point,
to repeat
the
it, they
last
must
point,
occupy land.
Honorable
You can
member.
do whatever you want to do, they must occupy land. There's nothing you can do, there's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care, we can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land.
Yes.
South African occupy land. That's who we are.
Honorable
Do whatever
member,
you want to
Deputy
do.
Speaker,
You can
Deputy
withdraw my
Speaker,
membership
Deputy
from this
Speaker.
useless parliament.
Sunday Times says Malema is a bully, racist, he must be stopped. They must know that I'm not Nelson Mandela. Neither am I Zuma. You push me, I push back.
To run government is the simplest thing because you employ people with qualification.
And we are back again. We are back again. We are back again. That was Julius Malema bringing the black hot fire in Parliament. There was even an excerpt from Parliament where he actually told them they could withdraw the useless membership. They could withdraw his useless membership from Parliament because no one can tell the black people in South Africa that they can own land. So tomorrow is a D-Day. Tomorrow is election day in South Africa. Of course, I'm not very, very optimistic about the day tomorrow because what you've seen is that the ANC, which was Mandela's party, of course, has a lot of popularity. Although the popularity has, to a very, very large extent, declined in South Africa. This particular party has been seen to have lost a lot of following, a lot of its popularity has declined, mostly because there's a lot of inequality in South Africa, and people are looking for real change. But the second option is the Democratic Alliance Party, which is also very, very popular. But like I mentioned earlier, the Democratic Alliance Party, of course, is supported by predominantly white people, and these people, of course, will not bring any change. They'll continue making the places better. Actually, over the weekend, I just shared a photo on our website where we saw a very, very big inequality between two places. That is the slum places in South Africa, which are neighbored by the white area in South Africa, which has all sorts of amenities, nice roads, good housing. And on the side of the fence, you find that people are suffering no electricity, no water, especially when it comes to the issue of water in South Africa. Places like Cape Town. Cape Town has suffered a lot because water is very, very hard to come by, as in clean water is very, very hard to find running water, clean water, because the municipalities in these places, there have been a sort of mismanagement of resources, where even the money maybe perhaps that would have been put together and put water in piped water, clean running water in these places has been misappropriated or misused. And also rampant corruption in South Africa. What the president is facing right now is a challenge of making reforms in the country, that can, of course, tackle corruption, because this has been a very, very big issue in South Africa. We have also seen the issue of electricity. Electricity in South Africa has also been a very, very big challenge because Eskom, which is a main power supplying company in South Africa, of course, at some point there was a lot of mismanagement in the company, which is Eskom, and that resorted to national-wide power outages in the country. And you know, South Africa is one of the most industrialized, is actually the most industrialized economy in Africa. And for them to have power outages, every now and then in a country that is the most industrialized, it was a very, very big shame. And we also have other issues that are facing the country, but those are just to mention but a few. So even when there is this particular president where we see his party, Cyril Ramaphosa, who is vying, I don't know how we'll address the problem I don't know how he will address the problem of corruption and also these reforms that are needed in the country. Tomorrow I see him winning. It would have not. I would have wished that the man with the black hot fire, who is Julius Malema, would have taken it. But I don't see that happening. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening. Of course, the political elite will try find as many ways as they can find to at least put this man down. And so I don't see him taking it this time. Of course, he has been trying to fight for the economic freedom of the people of South Africa and also for the black ownership of the land in South Africa. And unfortunately, I don't see things going his way this particular time. Sister Adoa, welcome to the show. Our other channel was striked, so we had to use this one. Karibu sana, welcome to the show. Our other channel was striked. Unfortunately, they claimed the violation of community guidelines. But you know, of course, how things go in on YouTube. You know how things go. But I hope your morning. Is coming along just great. You're saying you didn't get the notification this time. You saw it in your feed. Yeah. Sometimes there's that also. Sometimes you not get the notifications. But Elias Money is here with us and Sister Nish. I hope more of the family can find us. Of course, they will continue striking these particular pages and we will continue getting more. But we would advise, of course, we would ask people to join us. We would ask more people to join us on the website so that you can find the notifications on the website. And you can also find these particular updates on different pages. On different pages are strikes. You can find the updates when you have different pages being striked. When different pages are being striked, of course, we shall make the updates and tell you on which particular pages to find us on. But it's very, very hard. You're telling the family to join us on the website. No one comes to the website. I wish we would follow the call or the plea to go and join us on the website and create a profile for those who do not have the profiles. It's blackcoatfirenetwork.com, then /show. You just go on the top right button and just click login, and you'll be instructed on how to create a profile there. And once you create a profile, also you're able to, of course, join the rest of the family. Remember, you can also get interactive on different platforms like Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. We are all on Black Hot Fire. You can be able to get some notifications, perhaps when all other platforms are down. Thank you, Sister Adoa. You're telling us that your day is coming along just fine. I know you're headed to work, or you're probably at work already. Sister Nisha, I know probably you're also at work. Probably you're listening on your earphones, but we appreciate and thank you for your support. We appreciate and thank you for your support so far. We wish more people could join us and support this black media. I was telling the family earlier on, Sister Adoa, we have one more correspondent who was hired by Kid. She's a lady from Uganda. We can be able to get as much updates as we need from Uganda. Her name is Sister Africa Maria Mpenzi. She was with us on yesterday's live, on yesterday's Kamis live. She was with us yesterday. She will be getting some coverage from Uganda. Remember, also, we might get some correspondence from Tanzania. This year, we hope to go to Dar es Salaam on the 7th of July. We hope to go to Dar es Salaam on the 7th of July. We might also get our correspondence from a correspondent for the network in Tanzania. And also later on in November, we shall get a correspondent for the network in Rwanda. And later on Ethiopia, so that we can be able to be able to grow our footprint on the continent. Spike said it's a good display. We will win since Europe lost, but it's Chinese. It's tomorrow. Elias Money. The elections go down tomorrow. It's tomorrow, the 8th of May. Let me tell you one thing. These old coons and puppet leaders, of course, they have a very, very strong backing. You saw in Nigeria earlier on this year, there was an election in Nigeria. Yeah? You remember the election in Nigeria? And Mr. Buhari actually congratulated himself for a win even before the elections were conducted. So what does that tell you? It tells you the Chinese are giving the white people counterpart hell. Yes, I agree with your point. I agree with your point. The Chinese, of course, they are giving the white counterpart hell. But of course, we saw the Chinese had their influence in the elections, in the military coup. I could call it a military coup in Zimbabwe. The Chinese had a hand in that. But what we see right now in Nigeria, of course, things went the Buhari way. Buhari actually congratulated himself even before the election results came out. And of course, that tells you a lot. You remember the elections were postponed just a day. It was actually just a night to the election date. The elections were postponed in Nigeria. What does that tell you? Nigeria, not in Nigeria, actually in Africa, most of these elections are a sham. Most of these elections are a sham. They're just there to show you that you actually having a democratic process, who are on the back end, or on the behind the backdrop. Of course, this sham is going on, and of course, the will of the people is not reflected most of the time. You remember the same also happened in the DRC Congo. Mr. Joseph Kabila, of course, he has been in power for a while, and then he decided not to run for another term, but he actually placed one of his people, and the guy actually won. So what does that tell you? In most African countries, you cannot tell me there is any African country that has pure democracy where the will of the people is actually listened to, or it's actually heard. And it's actually very, very sad. I agree with you. The Chinese has given the white counterpart hell in this particular continent. But of course, neither of them is any better than the other. Neither of them is any better than the other. I remember the other day we were talking about Congo. We were talking about Congo Brazzaville refusing Chinese aid, refusing these in loans given by the Chinese. Actually, I would opt if our leaders would actually refuse to take these loans. But right now we are in the hands of these particular we are in the pocket of these particular Chinese, and it's very, very unfortunate. Let's move on from this particular situation. Tomorrow we'll see how everything pans out. Of course, we'll update you tomorrow on how things pans out. Of course, the election will be conducted throughout the day, so we expect the conclusion of the results. We expect the results in the other day, that is on Thursday. On Thursday, when you get back to the 54 Correspondence Show, we'll update you and we'll let you know how things are going. Of course, you can also keep a tab on how these things are working. This is why they cut up Africa. It's easy to control these. I agree with you. So moving on from South Africa, I want to talk about Namibia. Of course, Namibia borders Botswana. Namibia is a South African Namibia is a South African state. Namibia is a South African state. And actually, Namibia has had a drought. And right now, the president has declared the drought to be a national disaster in Namibia. It's very, very unfortunate. I was actually thinking to myself a little bit earlier. The other day I was heading to town. The other day I was going to town, and in Nairobi, I was going to Nairobi, the city, in the CBD, and there was actually one of these roads that I passed through, and one of these roads has been constructed by through the funds of the Japanese people. And so there's a mark put up. I don't know. There's a plaque put up saying that this road has been constructed through the funds of the Japanese people. I don't know, the Japanese corporation or with the Kenyan people, and it is a sign of the goodwill, or it is a sign of the friendship between the Japanese and the Kenyan people. And it got me thinking. What day, or when shall we have one African country rising beyond beyond these cheap politics, or cheap corruption, or cheap, and be able to fund even projects in a neighboring country? Can we have, for example, a country like Kenya get into a level where it's sophisticated, or it's more civilized, and it's able to feed its people and have extra money to go and help a country like Namibia. Namibia, for example, right now is suffering, it's in drought, and have plaques put in Namibia saying this particular road or this particular project was financed by the people of Kenya as a sign of goodwill or a sign of friendship between the people of Kenya and the people of Botswana, because we have plaques like that all over. Japanese have put up plaques like that all over because they have funded different projects in Kenya. When shall we have one particular country in Kenya or a few countries in Kenya being able to fund projects in other different countries in Africa? Like I said, when can we have a plaque put in even Liberia saying this particular project or this particular dam has been constructed by the people of, for example, Ghana, as a sign of goodwill or as a sign of friendship between the people of Ghana and Liberia? What we have right now in the impoverished African countries, is the looting of resources, rampant corruption, and all these looting of resources, where even the countries themselves cannot help themselves. Right now, we're having a situation of drought a drought situation in Namibia. I don't know if South Africa, the state of South Africa, the Republic of South Africa, can step up and help the people of Namibia. I don't know if Botswana can wake up and help the people of Namibia in this drought situation. Another second point here is that by the time that happens, the next 300 years since colonization, actually, I'm very, very saddened. By that particular issue, that we cannot have one African country going and putting up projects in another African country, because we are not even able to be self-reliant as our own people. I wish we'd have a project where the Ethiopian people can go and help out the people of Namibia, or the people of Egypt can help the people of Liberia, or have that help between African countries like Mozambique, helping Chad, Niger, helping for example, Mauritius or Mauritania, that kind of a help. Meles Money, I'm very, very sad because like your opinion might be very, very true. The next 300 years, it's very, very hard. And I'm moving on from Namibia. Let's go to another unfortunate incident in the country of Niger. Niger, of course, Niger borders Nigeria, and there have been an accident, not even an accident. There have been a blast. Of a tanker, an oil tanker. There have been a blast of an oil tanker, and dozens of people lost their lives. Actually, 55 people. 55 people lost their lives in Niger. 55 people actually lost their lives in Niger because of that explosion of an oil tanker in Niger. We have had these same kind of stories even in Nigeria, where a tanker has an accident, or like there's an overturn of a tanker, and then there's a blast of that particular tanker. We have even had the same in Kenya. We have even had the same in Kenya, where a tanker is transporting oil, and then of course it's involved in an accident. And let me tell you what happened. In Niger. This is a place called Niamey. This is a place near the capital city. The capital city of Niger is called Niamey. And this is a very, very unfortunate incident because when an oil tanker falls, Africans will rush, take empty cans and take empty take empty cans and go try to fetch the oil from this particular oil tanker that has already overturned or has already fallen, involved in an accident and has overturned. And the impoverished Africans will run with empty empty cans to go and fetch the oil. And unfortunately, in this particular instance, you might find one particular person, maybe with a cigarette, and it actually happens to fall or light up this particular place. and then there's a sudden blast. There's a sudden blast. Eddie's money, you're asking why they would do that. It's a mind of the African, the impoverished African. We have had the same in Kenya. In Kenya, we actually lost so many people, about maybe over 40 people in a place called Sachangwan in Kenya. People going with cans to fetch this oil from the fallen tanker, from fallen truck, oil truck. Now, in this particular place in Niamey is near the capital of Niger. One of the people in the motorbikes, there was actually a spark from the motorbike. When this particular tank overturned, there are people who rushed with empty cans to fetch the oil. People who were in the neighboring area who witnessed the tanker overturn and fall. And one of the people in motorcycles, of course, also went to the place, and there was a spark from the motorcycle, and suddenly there was a blast, and 55 people lost their lives in Niger. Condolences to the people, to the family of the family and friends of these people in Niger, which is close to Nigeria. But also again, I fail to understand. What is the rationale? What is the rationale behind the thinking? What is the rationale behind this particular act where a tanker overturns or is involved in an accident, and you go with an empty tank and you go with an empty can, jerry can, to fetch this particular oil? It's very, very sad. It's very, very sad. Some might say it's poverty. Some might say it's poverty. But of course, poverty is not an excuse. Poverty is not an excuse for ignorance. Poverty is not an excuse for ignorance, because it's ignorance. Anything can happen in this particular situation. Anything can happen. Someone might be smoking. Someone might even light up unknowingly, or there might be a spark. Like there was a spark from this particular motorbike, which is said to have it's irrational to go near. People go with jerry cans. People run with jerry cans. This has been seen in not only Niger. There has also been witnessed in Kenya. Let me tell you what happens. Brother Elias Money. Let me tell you what happens. What happens is that you might see a tanker, not even a tanker. There might be an overturning of a truck carrying soda. There might be an overturning of a tanker carrying soda. People will rush there to take the crates of soda, the free crates of soda. Or there might be a truck carrying alcohol or beer bottles. Someone is transporting beer bottles and happens to be involved in an accident, and the truck overturns, and people will rush to go and loot these crates of beer, loot these crates of beer. It's very, very sad, but that is the African way. But now in this situation, there was an oil tanker where people rushed with empty cans to go and fetch the oil. I also don't. I fail to understand the thinking or the rationale behind this particular action. But it's very, very. If it's soda or beer, but the same. There might also be a blast, even in this soda or beer. There might also be a blast. And when I was in primary school, there used to be people saying on a very, very gloomy afternoon. Someone would come up with a joke and say, do you know what? There has just been an accident involving a truck carrying bread and another truck carrying soda. That was a very, very common joke in a gloomy afternoon in my primary school. Someone said, hey, do you know what? Have you heard about the accident that just took place? There was a truck there's a truck carrying bread that has just been involved in an accident with a truck carrying a soda, and now people have rushed all the way to that particular scene, and people would laugh. But now it's very, very unfortunate when an oil tanker collapses, or not actually collapses, overturns, or is involved in an accident, and we've seen people going to fetch water. It's actually very, very foolish. I think the government should even arrest these people. I think they should be arrested. If you're involved in rushing to go and fetch oil from a tanker that is involved in an accident and has been overturned, and you're risking your life, this can be considered as a suicide attempt. This should be considered as a suicide attempt. It's actually very, very unfortunate that these people, 55 people of them, actually lost their lives. 55 people actually lost their lives. Moving on from Niger, let me take you to the neighboring country. Which is Benin. Oil tanker can take out half a block. actually more than even half a block. It can even take the lives of even hundreds of lives. And all a single oil tanker can take hundreds of lives of people who have gathered there to see what is happening or to fetch water and all this. It's actually very, very ignorant for people to rush to these particular places looking for oil, for free oil, which is actually later resold. You know, they fetch it in tanks, in cans, and then they go sell it at a cheap price. And then the funny thing is, let me tell you, before I finish this particular issue of even beers and sodas, you find people drinking the beer. You know, they are crushed. You know, when there's an accident, some crates of beer have fallen. There are people who might even, some of the bottles crash. Yeah? Some of the bottles are broken, and you might actually go and open a beer which is broken and try drink this particular beer. And it has glass inside, some freckles, some freckles of broken glass. You might drink it thinking it's free, and you might actually hurt your throat, or you might even choke in these beer or bottle freckles and die. And what's your cause of death? It's your stupidity. It's your ignorance. It's actually the high time Africans actually just wake up and realize that there's nothing as free. There's nothing as free. There's a quote. There's actually a quote that says, if something is free, just know that you are the product. If something is free, if you find something that is being given away and it's free, you might actually find out at the end of the day that you're actually the product. You are the product. If something is free, you go to a place and you find Africans will have cheap things, will have free things most of the time. If you go to a place and find something that is being given out for free, just know that you are the product. You're actually the product. It's actually very, very sad. And now moving on from that, let's go to Benin. Protesters actually, Christine Williams, asante sana. Christine Williams, I haven't seen you for a while. Christine Williams, I haven't seen you for a while. I hope everything is okay with you and your family. I haven't seen you for a while. Yesterday we had a live with Kami. Kami is live, and the other week, I hope everything is okay with you. Our other channel was actually striked by YouTube. The other channel, I think we might use this for a while. It was actually shut down because they said there are violation of our community guidelines. But of course, this is when Keith drops the black fire on them. That is when you have this violation in quotes, the violation of in quotes, because I don't see other people's YouTube channels being striked. Anyhow, it's all good. We'll carry on. I hope you're doing fine. Welcome to the live today. We're just talking about the accident, the unfortunate accident that took place in Niger. And then we're also talking about West Africa. Earlier on, we were talking about the election in South Africa. It's going to take place tomorrow. And the three main parties are the Mandela's party, which was the ANC, the African National Congress. And you also have the Democratic Alliance. And then you have the EFF, the Economic Freedom Fighters, which is Julius Malema's party. I would wish he would win, but we don't see that going that way. So let's carry on. Let's go to Benin. Of course, Benin is also in West Africa. I stand to be corrected. I think there is also a state. A state in Nigeria. I think there's also a state in Nigeria called Benin. All is all be on. I don't do early morning. We might try find a way of pushing this show to a little bit later. We'll try find a way of pushing the show to a little bit later. We might actually work on that. Not many people do early mornings. Yesterday, Kami's show was late, and a lot more people were able to join her. Her show was late, but a lot more people were able to join her yesterday. I understand when you say you don't do early mornings. I understand when you say that. Mother Nature, karibu sana dada Mother Nature, or dada Mama Asili, karibu sana. Peace and love to you. I hope all is well with you this morning. I hope you're doing well, wherever this particular Tuesday finds you. I hope you're doing well, you and your family. I hope these no, just catch the replay. It's okay then. So we just shared with that unfortunate incident of people going to fetch free oil from a tanker that was involved in an accident, an oil tanker that was involved in an accident. And actually, one of people in the motorbikes, there was a spark from one of the people with the motorbikes, and then there was a blast at this particular tanker, oil tanker, where the oil tanker was involved in an accident, and actually 55 people lost their lives, and that is as a consequence of people wanting free things and being ignorant, because there's no way you'll go fetch free oil. There's no way you'll go fetch free oil and expect that things will be okay. Let me just update you. Once more. We have a sister from Uganda who was actually hired as a correspondent on the Blackwood Fire Network. She will be joining us a little bit later, not on this particular episode, but on other episodes. So we shall have more live coverage from Uganda on the network, and that is a very, very good thing. An addition of one more staff from Uganda, who is Sister Africa Maria Mpenzi. She was here on the live yesterday, on Kami's live yesterday. And now we hope she will be able to give us more correspondence from Uganda. And later on, we hope to get even a correspondent from Rwanda later on, perhaps in November, and later in Ethiopia and Tanzania. We want to keep growing these networks so that we can be able to know what is happening on the continent. And I promise you that lady, that sister Maria Mpenzi, I promise you she will bring the black hot fire. I promise you she will bring the black hot fire. So watch out for that. That's what poverty does, spikes. It even affects blacks in America the same way with homelessness. It's actually very, very sad. People want to go and people want to go and loot. When there's an accident involving a truck, people want to go and loot and take whatever has like if it's crates of beer or if it's crates of whatever product they want to go and loot. The funny thing is that a truck might be involved in an accident. And the driver is injured. The driver is very, very much injured. And people want to take free beer from this truck that is involved in an accident, and no one wants to go and help the driver who is injured or who is actually dying. I remember a situation I heard of. There's a situation I heard of involving a truck carrying beer. So the driver was dying. So the first respondents on the scene, those are drunk people, not actually drunk people. Those thirsty people, and they actually went for the beer and forgot about the driver. So you can see the ignorance with our people. It is actually very, very sad. The driver is dying, but this truck was carrying beer. And so you first attend to the beer. And crack open those beer cans, and then attend to the driver later who is dying. It's actually very, very sad. Anyway, let me take you to West Africa once more. West Africa, a country called Benin. Benin is a place where Angelique Kidjo is from Benin. I don't know. Mother Nature is a fan of Angelique Kidjo. She's from Benin. And recently there was a protest. Because the protest was taken to the president's residence, the president's home. And these particular protesters gathered at the former president's home. They gathered at the former president's home. Of course, they were protesting. Because there was the exclusion of the opposition parties from the parliamentary elections. There was the exclusion of the opposition parties, some opposition parties, from the parliamentary elections that took place recently. And so the people, the protesters in Benin took the black hot fire. The protesters in Benin took the black hot fire to the president's house, to the former president's house, the former president's home. And this is a guy called Thomas Boni. Yeah, he's a former president. He actually ensured that some of the opposition parties have not been involved in the parliamentary elections in Benin. And so these particular protesters took the black hot fire to the former president's home. And actually, the sad thing is that they were met with very, very inhuman treatment by the soldiers. They were actually dispersed by force. In Benin. Some of these stories that I share, some of these updates that I share on the 54 correspondence have me shook. because you wonder, you wonder what sort of a banana republic, what sort of a banana republic, and by banana republic I do not mean Uganda, because Uganda is known to grow a lot of bananas. By banana republic, I know I'm just talking overall a state. I'm just talking of a state where we do not have the rule of law, and this is one particular state, Benin. Benin is one particular state in West Africa that I can call it to be a banana state because it's lawless. Because you see, what kind of a place does the president bar or stop the opposition parties from indulging in parliamentary elections? Some of the times I'm sharing these particular updates on the network, I just wonder, is this particular story true? But now it's true. So those protesters went to the president's home, the former president's home, Mr. Thomas Boni, and they went to his home and they were protesting there. And of course, they were dispersed with a lot of aggression, by the soldiers, a lot of aggression by the soldiers. And right now, there's a lot of heavy military presence guarding this particular man. Mr. Thomas Boni was the previous president. He actually served the country. He was actually serving the country for about 10 years. He actually served the country for about 10 years. And the opposition parties, of course, have not had a breathing space. The opposition parties have not had a breathing space. Sometimes I would like to tour Africa and see places like Benin, but when I hear things like this, sometimes the momentum or the spirit to just go and meet these people and see the way they are running their country and things like that, the momentum or the spirit is just lost. Anyway, I wish the best for the people of Benin. I wish the best for the people of Benin. Of course, freedom is not for free. Freedom is not for free. We have seen the people of Sudan fighting for their freedom and even leading to the ouster of the tyrant, Mr. Omar Bashir. Right now, we have seen the spirit of the protesters of Benin being crushed because when they went to protest at the former president's house, we found that their spirit was crushed. They was met with a brutal force by the military in Benin, which is actually very, very sad. We would like to see a place where democracy prevails, but in Africa, you've seen that democracy is a foreign concept. Democracy is a foreign concept in most African governments, because you remember some places have a what do you call this? A unitary party kind of a role where there's only one party, and that party rules. You have no opposition. And of course, where there is no opposition, of course, oppression runs. Oppression is the order of the day. Oppression is the order of the day in a place where we will not have the voice of the opposition being heard. And this is a case in Benin, where the voice of the opposition has been silenced. The military has been used. The military has been used to silence the people. And this is a place where you also see things like extrajudicial killings. If you're one of the opposition leaders, or you're one of the opposition leaders, you find that you might go missing any day. You might go missing any day, because if at all the government can bar the involvement of the opposition leaders, the opposition parties from the parliamentary elections, then you find that the representation of the people, or the voice of the people, cannot be heard, for one. And then you have one tyrant who is running the place, and it's actually very, 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 very sad. Anyhow, as we come to the end of the 54 Correspondence Show, I just want to remind you, or just highlight some of the wealthiest countries in Africa. Just have a highlight of some of the wealthiest countries in Africa. Some of the wealthiest countries in Africa. Just mention them by GDP. I'll just mention them by GDP. We should do the same to Obama. As we come to the end of the show, I just want to highlight some of the wealthiest nations in Africa by GDP. That is the nominal GDP. The nominal GDP. I shall not talk about what do you call these? I shall not talk about the per capita. I shall not talk about the GDP per capita. I shall just mention a few. The top 10 wealthiest countries in Africa by nominal GDP. The gross domestic product. Of course, most of these countries are financed by agriculture, trade, and the natural resources that these particular countries have. Most of the richest, of course, are facilitated by oil, like Nigeria. Nigeria is the highest. I'll just name them. By the GDP as we come to the conclusion of this particular live today. And heading, leading the list of the top 10, the top 10 richest African countries. This is just, by the way, all just random facts about the wealth in Africa. Random facts about the wealth in Africa. These are not the latest figures. But of course, they will give you an idea. Of the wealth in different countries. Should I start with number 10? Let me just start with number 10. Of course, number 10 is Tanzania. With a gross domestic product of about 52 billion US dollars. The gross domestic product of 52 billion US dollars. 52 billion US dollars. Tanzania is a great country. We hope to tour Tanzania. In July. We'll see how people live in Tanzania. At number nine, we have Sudan. Which has this is Sudan. This is not South Sudan. This is Sudan. Sudan has oil, which it is Bashir's country, the former tyrant, Bashir. His country falls in number 9, which has a gross domestic product of about 59 billion US dollars. And of course, at number 8, we have our beloved country. With a gross domestic product of about 80 billion US dollars. Sometimes I tend to think that Africa, that Kenya is richer than this. I think Kenya is richer than this because all these corruption cases that come up, where do they get the money to steal? It's this. I think Kenya is more richer than number 8. I think it should be higher up. I think Kenya should be higher up. At number 7, you have Ethiopia. Ethiopia with a gross domestic product of about 82 billion US dollars. At number 6, we have Morocco. Which is about 110 billion US dollars. That is number 6. Morocco, if you remember, Morocco is a country where Idris Elba had his wedding recently. Morocco is also the country that had given a boat to the Gambian president when he was sick. The Gabon president when he was sick, Mr. Ali Bongo. And number 5 is Angola, which comes at 124 billion US dollars, the gross domestic product. That is number 5. The saddest thing is that Elias Money, your country does not feature among the top 10 countries. Elias Money, Uganda, does not feature among the top 10 countries. You can guess. Your guess is good as mine. Corruption, among other issues. Of course, it's not a very, very big country as well. The country, Uganda, is not so big, of course. Tanzania is large. Kenya is also big. Morocco is also big. Angola is also big. Number 4, we have Algeria. Number 4 is Algeria, with a gross domestic product of about 180 billion US dollars. 180 billion US dollars. And of course, you have number 3 being Egypt, the north of Africa, being Egypt, with about 240 billion US dollars. And of course, you have number 2, South Africa, which is having the elections tomorrow, with about 350 billion US dollars. And then we have number 1. Let the drums roll. We have Nigeria. Of course, Nigeria have issues when you have the slump in oil prices, but they have a domestic product of about 80 billion US dollars, 380 billion US dollars. And of course, another interesting fact about Africa that I just remembered. Is that Africa, it has to do with West Africa. Before we come to the end of this live, this is an interesting fact about Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso's GDP is lower than the income that Monsanto, Monsanto makes these particular hybrids of seeds. It's a pharmaceutical and agrochemical product. Yeah, Monsanto in the USA. Of course, Monsanto in the USA has a bigger revenue than the GDP of the annual GDP for Burkina Faso. That is an interesting fact because Monsanto in 2008 introduced hybrid cotton. Introduced its what do you call these? They introduced the GM genetically modified cotton in Burkina Faso, and they made a lot of money. They made a lot of money in Burkina Faso, and they made so much money than actually the GDP of the people of Burkina Faso in that particular in the years that followed. They messed over. They screwed the people of Burkina Faso by introducing cotton that has very, very low quality. So the people of Burkina Faso actually traded quality for quantity. They have a lot of cotton that is cheap or very, very low quality that fetches poor prices, and no one wants to buy Burkina Faso's cotton because Monsanto actually screwed them over. And then, of course, later on, Monsanto gave a report saying that the people of Burkina Faso traded quality for quantity after screwing them over. Anyhow, that's a fact. That's a by the way. But those are the top 10 countries in Africa and the GDP. Once again, I just want to thank everyone that joined us on the live. We really, really appreciate you. Sister Nish, Elias Money, Mother Nature, Christine Williams, who is not a morning person. Christine Williams, we might just convert you to a morning person on the network here. We enjoy your company when you join us on the network, and we appreciate you. And also, Sister Nish. And I know most of us today are missing because we do not use this particular platform so much, but we really, really appreciate you for joining us on this particular live. Once again, much peace and love to you. Spreading good vibes to everyone this morning. Much peace and love to you, Mother Nature. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and the rest of the family. Tomorrow you can catch the Africa history live by Sister Kami. She will be joining us on this particular same channel before we get the other channels that have more the rest of the family to join us on those particular channels. So I appreciate you all. I'll also remind Keith to plan this particular African tour so that all of you can actually get a chance to hop aboard and join us and the rest of the family for the African tour. We hope that will be made possible. Probably, if not this year, latest next year. I just wish and hope that we can have a family tour to Africa, the East African regions that we saw. We're trying to have as many correspondents in these East African countries, and then we can at least be able to organize for that and facilitate for that particular African tour organized by the Black Fire Network. Once again, much peace and love to you. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you, Brother Elias Mani. When you come to Uganda, make sure you say hi to the Ugandan sister. Her name is Africa Maria Mpenzi. Remember to say hi to her. You're also welcome to Kenya, Nairobi. We have lots and lots of good things to share in Nairobi, Kenya. Once again, much peace and love. I wish you a happy, productive day and a great week ahead. Let's see how it goes in South Africa as they head to the polls tomorrow. Wish you spikes. Thank you, Sister Nish. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Let me play you this jam, and I will wind up the show. Shitty